facilities to make it quick and easy for you to get in and out of the elevator. Eric and his staff has indispensable knowledge and experience to help you market your grain so you get the most for all your hard work.
You're never alone with Cornerstone.
60s, 70s, 80s.
Your home for Goodland High School athletics, Fort Hays Tech Northwest basketball, the Denver Broncos, and the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer and Max Gershon. This is Rocket 1025, KKCI FM, Goodland, Colby, and NWKS radio station.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason. Japanese steelmaker Nippon Steel's proposed purchase of Pittsburgh-based U.S. Steel is off. President Biden has blocked the transaction. In a statement released this morning, Mr. Biden says we need major U.S. companies representing the major share of U.S. steelmaking capacity to keep leading the fight on behalf of America's national interests. President-elect Trump had also spoken out against the roughly $15 billion purchase of U.S. Steel by Nippon. When the 119th Congress convenes today, Republicans will be in control of both the House and the Senate. And one of the first orders of business for the House will be electing a speaker. That must happen before any business can be conducted in the House. On Wall Street, stock futures are higher. The Dow futures are up 109 points. More details at srnnews.com.
The new administration has hinted at one of its boldest moves yet, America's return to the gold standard. Backing the U.S. dollar with gold would create stability in a time of rapid economic change, pushing the price of gold higher than we've seen in decades. Those who act now could be positioned to benefit the most. Premier Gold specializes in helping those with a 401k, IRA, or other types of retirement accounts utilize a little-known loophole to move some of their savings into physical gold. Today, they'd like to send you a free gold standard kit to help you decide if this process is right for you. Call 606-800-8000 to take advantage of current rollover policies. Early action on physical gold could position your portfolio for maximum growth. Call Premier Gold at 606-800-8000. Call 606-800-8000 now. Premier Gold is not a financial advisor. Please consult with your advisor before investing. Call 606-800-8000.
Rocket 1025.
With your updated forecast, I'm staff meteorologist Paul Trombley from the Weatherology Weather Center. A dense fog advisory remains in effect. A winter weather advisory begins at noon tomorrow. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times, with fog in spots early today, with daytime highs approaching 42. Winds out of the south, 10 to 15 miles per hour. Lows level off around 18 tonight. Cloudy skies expected. Cloudy skies expected tomorrow. Slight chance for mixed precipitation. Daytime highs approaching 24. High temperatures reach up to 18 Sunday with a chance of snow. 29, a mix of clouds and sun Monday. 3 to 5 inches of snow tomorrow night through Sunday. Get up to the minute weather updates from the Weatherology Weather Center. I'm staff meteorologist Paul Trombley on this NWKS radio station. Right now, it's 22 degrees.
Need parts fast? O'Reilly Auto Parts has fast. Need them now? We've got now. No matter what you need, we have thousands of professional parts people doing their part to make sure you have it. We're O'Reilly Fast. Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Some things you wouldn't mind being stuck with, like a huge inheritance. But a phone that has to be plugged in just right so it charges is not one of those things. Switch to Verizon and we'll pay off your old phone up to $800 via prepaid MasterCard for a new one on us. Just trade in any phone from our top brands with select unlimited plans. $829.99 purchase with new smartphone line on select unlimited plans. Minimum $90 per month with auto pay plus taxes and fees for 36 months required. Plus $830 trade-in/promo credit applied over 36 months. Trade-in terms apply. Payoff phone requires smartphone purchase and port-in with new smartphone line on select plan. Must provide most recent bill showing payoff amount of eligible phone. Additional terms apply.
The Farmers State Bank of Oakley has been financing agriculture since the day we opened our doors. Hello, this is Corbin, and we are proud to be your locally owned partner in ag. We invite you to come and visit with us when you need to purchase new or used farm equipment, or need any type of agriculture or business loan. We have the knowledge, experience, and financial resources to keep you growing. The Farmers State Bank of Oakley, a tradition of community and agriculture for over 115 years. Member FDIC.
Settle in and stay connected with Nextech Wireless and a device on us. Choose from the newest iPhone 16, the Samsung Galaxy S24, or a new tablet on us. Get an extra $100 with your device trade-in, no matter the condition. Nextech Wireless. Home on the range.
The Burlington Home Store has a yard work center. They're your garden center, everything you need. Home construction and repair, plus a great line of cleaning supplies and appliances for your home. Burlington Home Store, your full-service lumber yard. You'll need hand and power tools, too. They've got them. By your windows, storm doors, screens, maybe even a barbecue grill. All at your Burlington Home Store, West Burlington. And the staff knows how to help you. And they will, too, at the Burlington Home Store.
The year-end clearance is on at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Save big on remaining hail vehicles like a 2024 GMC 2500 with some hail repaired. You can still take an additional $8,000 off. Or drive away in a 24 GMC Sierra 1500 and save up to $8,500 off, including rebates on lightly hailed units. Plus, enjoy 0% financing for up to 36 months on select new GMC and Chevrolet vehicles. These deals won't last long. Visit Hurl Chevrolet GMC today or shop online at hurlchev.com. and wrap up the year with incredible savings.
New year, new projects, and new deals at Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware. Start 2025 with a bang by tackling those home improvements. Refresh your space with vibrant Benjamin Moore paint or stock up on storage totes and shelves, perfect for organizing. Lumber prices are down, making it easier to tackle your next big project. Keep warm while you grill year-round with their top-notch grills and smokers from Traeger and Weber. And don't let the snow slow you down. Check out their great selection of snowblowers from Ego and Toro. It's Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware with locations in Goodland and Colby, your partner for a productive new year.
This is Deb with Farmers and Merchants Bank. New year, new savings goals. Let's help make 2025 a year of financial wins. No gym membership required. Farmers and Merchants Bank, your partner in New Year plans. Farmers and Merchants Bank, member FDIC.
There's something for everyone at Offerings and our large selection of handcrafted bath and body items. Come see me at my shop at 410 North Franklin in Colby, Thursdays from 4 to 6, or follow me on Facebook at Offerings LLC to see what vendor fair I'm at next.
You ready? Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4!
It's the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
The amount of money getting thrown around to quarterbacks who haven't done diddly squat is amazing to me.
The region's only local sports talk.
Listen to this guy. He knows what he's talking about.
Broadcasting on Goodland's Rocket 102.5. Simulcasting on Goodland's 730 Gold KLOE.
Guys everywhere.
Discussing it all from the preps.
It's been a long, long time. But the Goodland Cowboys are going to play for a state title.
To the pros.
How about a walk-off grand slam? Touch of all time, Ryan McMahon.
The Blitz is presented by Hurl Chevrolet GMC, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, and F&B Bank, as well as the Insurance Agency, Farmer State Bank in Oakley, the Cowboy Corner Express, and Equity Bank of Hoxie, Quinter, and Grinnell.
Let's go to work.
Bryce inside. Oh, punched! Bailey! Leo got it off. Oh! Leo put it in!
Fielder got rid of it and underthrow it. Picked off by Isaiah Hamilton. Hamilton inside the 10, all the way for the Ole Miss touchdown.
Gunner with a play fake. Oh, he's got Cash Jones wide open in the flat left side. He catches it at the 10, rumbles into the end zone. Touchdown.
Jaden Harrison bringing back the kickoff. He brought 2 back for touchdowns last year when he played for the Thundering Herd of Marshall, and he has one for Notre Dame.
The CFP Final Four is set, and boy, it's a pretty one. It's a pretty Final Four. Good Friday morning, everybody. Glad you're with us here on the Morning Blitz on this 3rd of January in the brand new year of 2025. I'm Ross Volkmer, Max Gershon here with us as well. Let's look forward to being with you here for the next 50 minutes to an hour, depending on how things go on a Friday. We've got lots of things to get into here on today's program. We will look ahead to the weekend slate of college basketball and, of course, the big game between the Chiefs and the Broncos, at least from one perspective. I don't know how it is really for Chiefs fans. We'll get Max's thoughts on that coming up in the weekend slate. Our good friend and former co-host of this Morning Blitz, Dan Lucero, is going to join the program coming up. Our good friend from WIBW Sports, where we'll talk pretty much anything. He is one of the most brightest sports minds that I know. He is unbelievably talented and knows so much about everything. And I definitely want to talk to him about some baseball, particularly the Corbin Burns deal, which we have not mentioned on this show, but I want to give a shout out to my Arizona Diamondbacks getting Corbin Burns. That was a nice little pickup there, but we'll get some thoughts on that and some baseball talk with Dan Lucero and some other things as well. And he will join us coming up in our second segment for the first time here in the new year. But I want to get to some college football playoff talk here right away. Although, Max, how are we doing on this Friday? You ready for some snow this weekend?
I am. I'm pumped up for snow. It feels like I missed both the big snowstorms because I was, at least the big one here, because I was going back home when the first one hit, and then I left Kansas City, and it hit in Kansas City. So I'm ready for some snow because I'm one of those people that it's like, if it's going to be freezing cold, let's have some snow. Let's not just have it freezing cold and like icy and cloudy. Let's get some snow in the mix too. So I'm ready for some snow.
You better get used to just the icy and cloudy and the cold. I think that's what it's mostly going to be most of the time. But there is a good chance of snow. And for people who are listening over east, like our good friend and producer, Papa Gershon, and his good friend, Brian, I hope you guys have got the snow shovels as well as the snow blowers fueled up. Hope you've eaten your protein, gotten ready to roll because you're going to be doing a lot of scooping and a lot of snow blowing, it looks like. 8 to 10 inches over on the northeast side of the state. In southeast Nebraska and northwest Missouri, they are looking to get some big-time snow, 8 to 10 inches. You move a little bit further to the west, pretty much most of central Kansas is going to get, a stage down from that, maybe 3 to 6. And then out here in the western parts, trace to maybe 3 inches at most. I would expect to be mostly on the trace side of that, but it probably still would be smart to be prepared for some white stuff starting up here on Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, and rolling on into Sunday. And it will certainly be a cold weekend ahead. Temperatures expected after today of 47. Here we go, Max. Great golfing weather. Cloudy and 28 on Saturday. 40% chance of snow and 20 on Sunday. And then 30s pretty much all the way until next weekend when we finally get out of the freezing range. What's it looking like in Denver for the football game? You know what? I can actually look that up. Let's see here. I have Denver right here on the spot.
Is Carson Wentz a snow guy? We don't. Let's figure that out.
Looks like they play Sunday. It'll be sunny and 32.
Okay.
Cold, but not snowy.
No.
So, in fact, if you're out in the Denver area, not looking like a lot of precip coming your way anytime too soon, but a lot of temperatures no higher than 39 once you get past the 53 of today.
Gotcha. Well, there you go.
For any of our Denver listeners out there, shout out and implies. By the way, hit us up on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter if you are listening from Denver. I would love for people to just text the show and tell us where they're listening from. That'd be great. If you're listening from, anywhere, it doesn't matter. If you're listening from Rexford, if you're listening from Weston, if you're listening from Kansas City, we don't really care. Denver, it'd be great. Heck, if you're listening from the great state of Nebraska, you can let us know as well. But anyway, we got a full show ahead here today. And like I said, cold temperatures expected this weekend and some snow as well, and particularly more snow the further you go to the east. Luckily, you're not headed back home for that bar mitzvah this weekend, buddy. That would have been rough.
No, that's another whole controversy after because I'm going to be in
10-minute discussion after Friday's show.
I still don't know what I'm going to do because that's the weekend after. That would be weekend after, and that's going to be a whole problem because I'm going to be in Hugoton on Friday night. We might have a drive through the evening. I'm not sure. We'll have to figure that out at a later time.
Yeah, that's going to be very interesting. By the way, Max needs a friend who's got a pilot's license in a plane. That's what he really needs.
A private jet.
He'll take any plane. He's not going to get picky about private jets or not. If it's a single proper or twin proper, he don't care. As long as it's got a seat for him, he needs a ride to Kansas City from Hugoton.
It's much. You can even drop me off, You can, I guess I can't rent a car yet, so never mind. I was just saying, you can drop me off halfway and I'll rent a car. Not even old enough.
Okay, so you're 20, right? Are you still 19?
No, I'm 20.
20. So when's the birthday coming up here?
April 9th.
Okay, so we're both April guys. So, boy, we're going to have a big time party on April 9th here on the Morning Blitz. We'll have
screwdrivers
in the Morning Blitz.
A beer. A morning beer.
A beer mosa. There we go.
Ooh.
Beer mosa.
Now we're
Little
talking.
orange juice and beer. There we go. A little beer mosa on the morning blitz. A beer mosa blitz.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. We might have to discuss that further because
I think it sounds like a good idea to me.
I'm
But
down.
but then of course what you can rent a car that day then too, right?
No,
When's
rent
the
a car is
car day?
25.
Oh my gosh. Jeez,
But I can drive the station truck.
That's true. Thank
can't
goodness
drive
for
the
that.
station
So,
truck.
but I tell you, it's a big day, April 9th, folks. We're going to celebrate hard.
There's
here
a
on
lot
the
happening. A lot of exciting things are going to happen April 9th. I cannot. I've been waiting for like a year. I graduated college at just brand new 20-year-old.
Yep.
So like I feel like I'm 22, 23 because like I've already gone through college. I don't have any school left, but I'm in reality I can't drink yet.
Yeah.
So
no,
we'll get there soon.
We will, and there's really no rush. There's no reason to get any
No.
older. I mean, I'm 35, so you know what? There's no rush. Although I don't feel 35, but I am 35. I can count the years, and my kids remind me of it all the time. My daughter and now my oldest son call me old man dad. I don't know where they got it from, but
Old man dad.
old man dad, old man dad. They call me that. So I love them, but they call me old man dad at 35. Just wait, kids. 20 more years, I really will be becoming older man dad. At this point in time. Anyway, if you want to join the show, as always, the F&B Bank text line is open at 785-899-2222. If you want to tell us where you're listening from, that'll be great. Jared, of course, our faithful listener, chiming in. He's just outside of KXXX in Colby. By the way, he says he's got a Kansas Highway Patrol or maybe a KBI plane. Maybe give you a ride. You can go in style.
Oh, that would be great. See, that's what I'm saying. Just drop me off right at the bar mitzvah, and I'll have my suit on. I'll be looking like
parachute in for.
I'll parachute onto the roof. That would be fantastic. I'm not asking for too much. I don't think here, Ross.
No, I don't think so. Price of plane jet fuel and air aviation costs. By the way, listener Brian chiming in said it's a long haul from Hugoton to Kansas City. I did that one just before the break, he said. So yeah, that's a long one. I mean, that's a catty corner trip.
It cannot get longer. There's no longer. I don't think you could make a longer trip from.
Oh, I'm guessing you could probably go from Elkhart if you really wanted to get your map out and do some looking here.
It's hard. You got to really look.
There's a lot of it's a long. I mean, let's see here. Yeah, you could go to Elkhart or Johnson City to Kansas City would be quite the haul. You'll learn about Johnson City here coming up in a few weeks when you go down to Hugoton. So you'll learn about that.
I've been to Hugoton once.
Yeah, well, Johnson City. Yeah, okay, yeah. So you've probably been to Johnson City at least at that point in time, depending on how you went down there. I don't know. You probably didn't actually go a different way than what us.
I don't even remember.
It's a long drive. Nonetheless, glad you're with us on the Morning Blitz. Boy, yesterday, the final spot in the college football playoff was punched. It was taken by the Golden Domers of Notre Dame in a, let's just put it, a dominant fashion as Notre Dame took care of Georgia last night in college football, 23-10. The Irish get it done despite really not putting up much offense. I mean, they had 90 yards passing is all they had with Riley Leonard, but they ran for $150 and get the win against Notre Dame. And if you didn't watch the game, it was pretty much about defense and special teams for the Fighting Irish. That's what it was about. Defense forcing multiple turnovers out of Georgia as they forced, I think they had 2 fumbles, did Georgia, I'm pretty sure, in this game. Yeah, had 3 fumbles, lost 2 of them. But they forced 2 turnovers out of Georgia, so they ended up finishing what was +2 in turnover margin. And then you add into the mix as well special teams with a kickoff return for a touchdown, as you heard on the intro there, by Jaden Harrison. The Marshall transfer took it 98 yards to the house. And this game, Max, was about what coaches in football, and I'm sure it even applies to other sports with clocks, but the middle 8 in football, they call it. The middle 8. The last 4 minutes of the first half and the first 4 minutes of the second half. That's what this game was about. Notre Dame was only up 6-3. I beg your pardon. It was tied at 3. Right. It was tied up at 3. I'm going to go here and make sure I get the times correct on this. But it was tied at 3 with thanks to remember, Georgia took the early lead with a field goal. Then they got a field goal in the took the early lead in the second quarter, I should say, 3-0 after a scoreless first. And then Jeter, the field goal kicker for Notre Dame, got a field goal with 8 minutes left. But then Notre Dame got a turnover, took the ball down the field, and kicked another field goal with Jeter from 48 yards. And because of a penalty, it might have been a touchdown, but it was brought back. They had to kick a field goal when it was all said and done. Kind of interesting exchange there right before half. Done. But then after Jeter kicks the field goal, it's 6-3. Then when the game changed, it was less than 30 seconds. Georgia has a turnover again on a strip sack fumble. It's recovered. They score the next play. Riley Leonard throws his lone touchdown pass, making it 13-3. And then with 15 seconds into the third quarter, there is the Harrison kickoff return for touchdown. The middle 8, where Notre Dame scored what was a total of 17 points. 17 of their 23 came in the middle 8. And honestly, you want to give him better, it came in the middle 4. It came in the middle. Actually, it came in the middle 2. It came in the last minute of the second quarter and the first minute of the third quarter. It was those 2 minutes and the 2 turnovers that did the Georgia Bulldogs in yesterday.
Well, I'll admit it, Ross. You were 100% on point throughout this entire, last few weeks when we talk about college football. These teams with buys are really, really, really struggling. And I even said yesterday, I think if Georgia loses, then I'll give you all the credit in the world, because that's the team I really expected to. I didn't expect this outcome, and I didn't expect it with Oregon either. But if Georgia and Oregon lost, we're like, all right, we got to have a discussion about these buys, because, what do we do here? If all these teams are losing with buys, even teams that were better throughout this season, like Georgia and Oregon, all right, do we go 16 teams? Do we go 4? Do we move all these teams into the same round? What do we do to fix this? Because it's tough to fix, because you want to reward those top 4 teams, but if all of them are losing and then it's kind of clear. At least it was the most clear in the Oregon game that these guys just are not ready physically. Like it felt like Ohio State had that toughness already because they had already played around. So what do you do? Where do you go from here, knowing that every team that had a bye lost, meaning next year our team's going to want to buy again? What's the next steps?
I have a feeling. Here's the problem: you don't want to jump the gun on just one test.
Right.
You don't. Exactly. You don't put a product out there after just one test. Like, that'll work. It worked the first time. No. If you put a product out, you need to test it multiple times. So I would say you need to probably give this at least another year, if not maybe 2 more years, before you decide on what you. Now, the playoff, I believe, is already set to expand here in a couple years. I think they've already kind of made that decision that they're going to expand the playoff. How they're going to go about doing that, I'm not really for sure on. By that, I mean, are they going to have buys? Are they not going to have buys? Maybe this is going to change that thinking going forward. I don't know. But here's the thing. We can't base it all off of 1 year. We can't do that. It's a very, very small sample size. You need to have a little bit more. But there is no doubt that college kids, I want to say this, these are not, even though they get paid somewhat like professionals, college kids are not used to this deal where you play a game and then you come back after a month off and then play another game that's probably the biggest one of the season. They're not used to that. And so I think that's to me is the biggest thing is maybe it's kids wrapping their heads around about how to be better about after being off for a long time, But, we see this in the NFL quite a bit, too. I mean, let's face it, teams that get hot, and we see in the NCAA tournament, teams that get the early games, they get the rust shaken off. They feel a little bit more relaxed, and then they don't have that pressure in the second game, and they go out there and they take care of business. And
I think you see a lot in baseball, too. I think baseball is is probably the most prevalent when it comes to this stuff because – it's obvious. Seeing a pitcher throw the baseball, your eyes are more used to it when you just saw it. And instead of having a bye for a week when other teams are playing the wild card. So I've always thought that about baseball, that sometimes if you're getting hot in the wild card, you have a very, very good chance to beat the 1 seed or the 2 seed that has a bye. So I really think the only league it really doesn't, I feel like, matter is the NFL. I feel like that bye, and that's just because those guys are so
They are
they're such
professional.
well-oiled machines,
Right?
That it doesn't really bother them at that point in the season. But I think really, realistically, and obviously the NBA doesn't even have buys, but and realistically in every other sport, it's definitely something that is becoming a very relevant issue.
Well, the NFL has trained itself to where we have to be ready to play any day of the week.
Right.
We're going to either play Monday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We're going to play any of those days throughout the week. We just got to be ready to play. And there could be games where we're playing on, heck, Wednesday. I mean, let's face it, you could play on a Sunday if you're the Chiefs and play again on a Wednesday like they did against Kansas City. I mean, their professionals are the professionals. But yes, I think at this younger age, at least early on in this testing, we're going to see that, teams that just get out there and play. But let's also look at this here. Look at the Final Four. And look who got here. I mean, this also had partially to do with seeding. So first and foremost, the first round, it was home teams who had the home field advantage. They got that. You go to neutral site games. Yes, it is the teams that played before, but let's face it. Is Texas a better team than Arizona State? Maybe on paper.
Yes.
Yes.
100%.
Is Penn State a better team on paper than Boise State?
Yes.
Yes.
100%.
Notre Dame and Georgia, maybe but let's remember, Georgia was without their starting quarterback. They played the backup Gunnar Stockman. Had to play because Carson Beck was hurt. Now, once again, people on this show and other people around the world are not huge Carson Beck fans. That's fine. But my point being is that, that's Notre Dame had a home game to get some momentum going and then carry that into the next round against Georgia, who's playing with their backup quarterback. And let's face it, is Georgia as good as they've been in the past?
Definitely
No. And then you get to the big game that I'm sure everyone is the one that's probably stuck in the craw of most is the Ohio State just walloping Oregon. Multiple things came into a factor there. Yes, the length of time off for Oregon, but also the fact that Ohio State is the most talented football team in college football. It's got the most talent on it. And on top of that, they were ready for revenge. They won.
People forgot that. I think I even forgot it. And it took that Michigan loss combined with this Oregon game to realize, oh yeah, this team is insane. Like these athletes that Ohio State has on their football team, it's not normal. It's really not normal. And I think they have to be the favorites from here on out.
Oh, they are.
They have to be the favorites because that team that they have together is absolutely. And it makes it even crazier that they lost to Michigan or they lost any games this year because of how talented that football team is.
Now, Michigan did find something there at the end of the year. That Ohio State win carried them to a win over Alabama.
True.
In the bowl season. Remember that.
I'm just saying, this team had the potential to go undefeated. And they had the potential to win every single football game this year. But again, like I said yesterday, I think it really did take that Michigan loss for them to almost reached their peak capability because it woke them up to a level of we got to turn this thing around now, or this is just going to be another forgotten season for Ohio State football.
No, you're not wrong. It was their team got it together. Ryan Day got it together, and I would agree, they probably are the favorite going forward in the Final Four. Of the Final Four, we got to continue to move on here. I could talk this all day, but of the Final Four, Texas, Ohio State. And then Penn State, Notre Dame, which will play coming up here Friday and Saturday of next weekend. But Penn State, Notre Dame, and Texas, Ohio State, your Final Four. The thing that stands out to me the most, and these two things go hand in hand, 3 teams above the Mason-Dixon line. 3 northern teams, as they would call it. And for the longest time, while Max was still in high school, maybe even in junior high, they were talking about how, how many national championships have been won by teams from the South, whether it was Georgia or Alabama or LSU or Florida State or Clemson. It was all but by teams south of the border. Now, in a big playoff, all of a sudden, teams from the North are represented. Notre Dame, Penn State, Ohio State, all north of the Mason-Dixon line. It's amazing to me to see that. Texas is the lone team that is in there. And the funny thing to piggyback off of that is that they are the SEC representative, and the SEC had a horrific bowl season and playoff.
They did.
Which brings to the point, how good is the SEC? And listener Brian chiming in as well. He says, how strong is the SEC? He said that a minute ago. He got the cart in front of the horse there, but we were going to get to that, Brian. But
it's not. I think it's the weakest it's been in, most of my lifetime. Look, the Big Ten is the spot in football, and of course, adding programs like Oregon has been huge to that. But it's been wild to see this SEC kind of transform into kind of the older football conference, and Big Ten is this fresh new. They're the top dogs now, and it's wild to see. And even the best team in the SEC being Texas, right here as far as the playoffs go. Texas was in the Big 12 last year, so it's crazy. It's crazy to see, and I think the Big Ten is by far. it's not really close. That's the best conference.
Once again, this is a small sample size, so I don't want to just say. I know there's been a lot of talk. I saw a whole video reel from Joel Klatt from his podcast and show, and I love Joel Klatt. I'm a huge fan, but he's talking about how he says the SEC's reign is over. It's over. It's no longer the best conference in college football. It's a year. Okay. It's a year. And I don't want to go completely off the rails here, but do you think the SEC, the league has caught up with the top teams like the Vanderbilts, and those teams have caught up with the top teams, or have the top teams dropped down to the lower of the Vanderbilts or met somewhere in the middle more than
I think they met somewhere in the middle. Look, I think players, they don't have the top dogs that they used to have. I really don't. I think the last few years, I just don't think that they've been at that level that we saw from, we're talking 20. It's like I'm saying, most of my life since I remember watching college football, it's always been those same top dogs in the SEC. And I think, for what I don't know the reasons behind all this, maybe NIL has a lot to do with it more recently, but there's just a lot. I feel like there's just a lot more talent in the especially this year in the Big Ten.
It's going to be interesting because I think we started to see the trickle effect when really good coaches started coming to the Big Ten. Not that the SEC
that was my next point.
But big coaches were coming to the Big Ten, and then the television media deal got redone, and the Big Ten makes more money than all the other conferences. And I'm curious to see how far that pushes the Big Ten next year and in the coming years, because the SEC is still locked into their deal for another year or so.
Right.
And so for a couple more years, actually. So I'm fascinated to see how much that, if possibly, that pushes the Big Ten further up.
Look at that. Hell, Notre Dame could win it all, and then what do we say? What do we?
If you want to talk about a team that is so Big Ten but is not in the Big Ten,
100%
is Notre Dame.
Absolutely.
Even though they're in the ACC in basketball, to me, it's the dumbest thing. It is a. I don't even know what the word is. It's a stickler. It's a pride thing for Notre Dame.
Oh, yeah.
The Big Ten did something many years ago that ticked them off, and they don't want anything to do with the Big Ten. But if there is a Big Ten team, when we're talking academics and prestige, it is Notre Dame. And tell me what, there is not a bigger program in the country that the Big Ten would want to add more than Notre Dame.
It won't happen.
But Notre Dame just says, we ain't doing that.
But they make too much money. They make too much money from their deals.
Yeah, I know. They make
no point. There's no point.
And guess what? They're in the Final Four. So why would you change what you're doing?
Exactly. If they sucked for a while, then you're talking, all right, maybe we got to do something. But
you're right.
Good.
You're exactly right. If they go on a drought and they can't get into the playoff, because they lose a couple of games in their schedule. That's the thing. They don't have a lot of room for mistakes in the schedule. They have maybe one loss, which they have now, which was to Northern Illinois, which is amazing. But
so
they have a very minimal wiggle room. And if they lose 2 games, they're not making the playoff. And there might be a time where they end up getting in a spot where it's hard to do that. Now, the problem is they can control their schedule very well and make it to where they can get that. But they're in a sweet spot. Notre Dame's in a very, very sweet spot. And they can do what they want. But, yeah, I know it's to me, once again, the amount of Northern teams stands out to me, and the SEC and how it's not like as if the SEC was even like, let's face it, we are a couple of missed field goals away, or a couple of a targeting call away from it being no SEC teams in the Final Four. Because Arizona State, if that targeting call is called, they're probably kicking a field goal to win it at some point in time. And Arizona State in regulation is moving on to play Ohio State. That's what's nuts. Think about that. Not an SEC team in the Final Four. That's amazing.
And that's the question of, I think you're kind of starting to figure out what's the SEC, what's the Big Ten, but then you kind of know what you're going to get out of those two conferences. And then the Big 12 is just chaos. It's just pure chaos that is kind of changing every year of who's going to win this division, who's going to win the conference, who's going to win it, who's the top dog, who's the bottom dog. So that's kind of what makes me love Big 12 football so much, because it's the most clueless conference out of all of them.
Yeah. We'll see how much that cluelessness pays off in the coming years. That's going to be interesting.
Definitely.
See how much that pays off. All right. We've gone plenty long enough on this first segment. We're fascinating. Once again, the Final Four for your college football playoff. You'll have Penn State, Notre Dame. That is a that is a Thursday game coming up here. Penn State, Notre Dame. And then a week from today, you've got Texas, Ohio State. So Penn State, Notre Dame, Texas, Ohio State. By the way, the Penn State, Notre Dame game guarantees there will be a black coach in the national title game with Marcus Freeman and James Franklin.
There you go.
There will at least be one. Fascinating stuff. I don't know. This playoff has been great. I've enjoyed it. Even though the games maybe haven't been as exciting as people would want. It's just fun to see fresh blood all in the playoff. So let's see here. Yeah, that's about all I got. I know Michael chimed in with something about Notre Dame get $14 million with that win last night. They're making money. You win these games, you make big time money. And Notre Dame's not going to go anywhere. They're going to be around a lot in this playoff. And if it expands some more, it's just almost like there's an automatic bid for Notre Dame.
I mean, 100%.
All right, let's get to break. We'll come back. Dan Lucero is going to join us next here on a Friday edition of the Morning Blitz.
I'm telling you, they were framed and they look good. Check out the arrivals of new frames. What a selection of eyeglass frames in right now at Scott City Eye Care. They remind you to have routine eye exams. Dr. Gooden and the staff saying thank you for your business.
It's time for a check of the markets with the Anderson Trade Group on the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network.
Good morning. This is Kate Thompson with the Anderson Trade Group. Today is Friday, January 3rd. On the overnight last night, March corn lower 2.5 at 4.57. May down 2 3/4 at 4.64.5. July down 2 3/4 at 4.67.5. September corn down 1 3/4 at 4.43.5. December of 2025 down 1 1/4 at 4.45 1/4. March soybeans down 6.5 on the overnight at 10.05.5. May down 7 1/4 at 10.17 3/4. July down 8 at 10.29 3/4. August beans down 8 cents at 10.28 1/4. Chicago wheat, the March contract lower 5 cents at 5.40 3/4. May down 4 3/4 at 5.52 1/4. July down 4 1/4 at 5.60 1/4. September down 4 1/4 at 5.73. Kansas City wheat, the March contract down 4 1/4 at 5.47.5. May down 4 at 5.56 3/4. July down 4 at 5.65.5. September down 3 3/4 at 5.78 1/4. On the stock market this morning, the Dow up 110 at 42,804. The S&P up 15 at 5,931. The Nasdaq up 65 at 21,233. Gold lower $5 now at 2,663. And crude oil up 26 cents a barrel at 73.39. If you have any questions about marketing grain or would like to talk about risk management options, give our Colorado office a call. John Henke or John Stiles at 970-744-4484, or in our Kansas City office, myself, Tom Pluto, Jared Ball, or Tyler Ghosh at 913-748-3000.
The Anderson Trade Group, proud market partners with Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio. Find out more at andersongrain.com. The risk of loss through trading futures and or options is substantial, and each investor and or trader must consider whether this is a suitable investment. Past performance, whether actual or indicated, is not indicative of future results. The Anderson Trade Group has no guarantee that the advice given will result in profitable trades.
The only competition that really matters is you versus you. And with the performance of Veltima fungicide from BASF, you can take your best results even further. Veltima fungicide is on your side to out-yield the competition by an average of 7 bushels per acre, but you've never been average. Beat your own record, get every bushel you deserve, and make this your best season yet with Veltima fungicide from BASF. Always read and follow label directions.
Imagine having 86% more days with perfect weather. Imagine having an extra 4 hours every morning or a combine that's 86% more powerful. That's the feeling of a Revitec fungicide harvest. Revitec is proven to outperform the competition 86% of the time, providing up to 9.5 more bushels per acre. It's the #1 recommended choice by growers. Visit Revitec.com and look forward to a future that's 86% more secure. Always read and follow label directions.
Zach and the crew at Lore Electric in Goodland are your local electrical experts, specializing in residential,
Support 26 local organizations and projects. Bird City Century 2 appreciates your support of the community and wishes you a happy holiday season.
You're listening to the Morning Blitz.
How about sports? You follow sports?
With Ross Volkmer.
Continuing on the Morning Blitz here on a Friday. 8:41 in the Central Time Zone, 7:41 in the Mountain Time Zone. 22 and partly cloudy on our way to a high of 47. Temperatures in the 20s, and some of the white stuff, light white stuff, will be headed our way here this week, but not as much as what is coming the way of our good friend Dan Lucero, who joins us from WW Sports in Topeka. Are you ready for the snow, Dan? Got that shovel all greased up, ready to work?
Oh, man, that's the first time I thought I'm going to have to shovel walk. You know, I look forward to the snow until you said that. And, yeah, I'm going to have to go out and do that. That's a one-person job now. We won't be my wife and I won't be tag teaming that. Somebody's got to watch the baby. So, yeah, I guess I better get ready if I wasn't before.
Yeah, you got to do that during nap time so you can get the wife there and help out a little bit there. Get that done during nap time. That'd be great. Do you consider yourself a professional snow scooper, being from the Denver area originally?
You know, I would say that I have a technique. Let's just do it. I have a technique that works for me.
Dan Lucero, our good friend from WW Sports, and of course was the co-host here on the Morning Blitz for a couple of years as well. I tell you what, Dan, how is fatherhood treating you? First Christmas with the new boy, how was it?
It was great. You know, it was great. Our son is he'll be 7 months here in a couple of days. So yeah, first Christmas for him, and it was great. He had a good time. He could tear off a little bit of the wrapping paper. He was very spoiled by both sets of grandparents. And, yeah, got a lot of great new toys. Apparently he loves keyboards, pianos. Those are his favorite kinds of toys right now. So I might have a budding musician in the family, a little Mozart. We'll see.
You know, that's hilarious because last time we talked about how, he's going to play defensive tackle, because he was such a big kid. So if he's got a defensive tackle with the fingers of a pianist, I'm telling you, that guy's got some skills.
Yeah, that's a top 100 prospect, no question. I'm already submitting his measurables to the 24/7 folks, see what kind of star ranking we can get him.
Dan, I want to start off where we left the conversation before we went to break. We were touching on the Final Four of the college football playoff. How surprised were you at the Final Four of this CFP here in year number 1 of the expanded playoff?
Not really. I mean, I don't know that these are necessarily the teams I'd say are the 4 best, but outside of Texas, Arizona State, there wasn't much doubt on the field, right? I mean, the games went exactly the way that it looked like in the first 5 minutes that these games were going to go. Maybe that's not fair to Georgia, but look, once Georgia got behind 13-3, that may as well have been 130-3. They just weren't going to move the ball whatsoever against that Notre Dame defense. It's a pretty representative Final Four. It's 4 teams that I think all could probably win a national championship. Teams that are playing really well right now, and that's that's how it goes when you have an expanded postseason tournament. It becomes about who's playing well right now, and these 4 teams that are left are playing the best football.
Dan, what are your thoughts on the just overall setup, I guess, of this 12-man playoff?
Well, they're going to change how they seed it. I can tell you that right now. With all 4 lower seeds winning yesterday, there's no reason Oregon and Ohio State should have been a second-round game. That was a semifinal caliber matchup, and the fact that Ohio State won in a blowout doesn't change the fact that 2 teams of that caliber shouldn't be meeting at this juncture of the event. So they're going to have to change how they seed this thing, and they're going to have to seed it up and down, 1 through 12. No buys, no guaranteed buys for conference champions. Maybe the top 2 ranked conference champions get auto buys. I don't know. But the seeding process clearly doesn't work as intended. Like you watch that Ohio State team. I know they lost to Michigan, which gets funnier by the day, but there's no reason that team should have been seeded below Boise State and Arizona State. Like, get real. That should not have happened. So they're going to change how they seed it for sure. But otherwise, my attitude in this all along has been there's no good way to crown a college football national champion. And I don't know that this is necessarily the best of all of the bad ways that we've had for 150 years of the sport when we just let random dudes pick national champions in the 1920s, the Bowls and Polls era, the Bowl Coalition, the Bowl Alliance, the BCS. Honestly, I'm kind of partial to that as the best system we ever had. But as far as this 12-team event goes, it has been made for television. And, we've all sat and watched the games. Games haven't been very good, but we've all been watching.
Dan, with 3 of the 4 teams being from above the Mason-Dixon line with Ohio State, Penn State, and Notre Dame, is the SEC's reign in college football maybe coming to an end, or is this just a blip on the radar?
Well, there's a long answer to that. I'll try and make it a shorter answer. The talent advantage has disappeared a little bit for the SEC because you can't hoard the talent the way that you used to be able to. The NIL era, that's what people want to call it, the transfer portal era, has made it a little easier for teams to go and get the missing pieces that they need. It's like when the NFL introduced free agency. It leveled out the playing field a little bit. And so that's what you've got. You've got an Ohio State team, a roster that's frankly more expensive than any of the other teams from the SEC. And if there was a roster that was as expensive as Ohio State's, it was probably Oregon's. And Ohio State already beat Oregon. So there are just different. It's a different stage that we're competing on now. I think where the playing field for talent, the competition for talent, how much talent you have on a roster is going to be a bit more leveled out. Like Georgia had dudes, but they didn't have as many dudes as they had even 3 years ago. And that's the primary difference is you can't just hoard all the dudes. There's a more even dispersal of the dudes that you need, by which I really mean linemen, right? Like you watch these teams play, edge rushers, interior guys, offensive lines. That's where games are won in big time college football. And it used to be that the schools that could recruit those guys the best could just hoard them all for themselves and have 2 NFL caliber defensive lines on the same team. That's what Georgia did when they won their back-to-back national championships. I don't know that you can do that anymore. I think there's a bit more even dispersal of the kind of dudes you need to win these kinds of college football games.
Dan Lucero is our guest, our good friend from WIBW Sports in Topeka. Dan, I want to transition out of college football. I want to talk a little bit of baseball with you. What are your thoughts on some of the moves that have been made in Major League Baseball here during the winter meetings and the offseason thus far, looking ahead to 2025?
Well, the big splash, obviously, the Mets getting Juan Soto. Unbelievable that this guy is going to be on his 4th big league team. Hopefully it's his last one. Hopefully he's found a team that will appreciate him. Certainly he's found one that will financially appreciate him and has decided that actually it's good to have like Ted Williams on your team because that's what you're seeing. Like for those of you who weren't alive for Ted Williams, including myself, that's what Juan Soto is, guys. That's the kind of hitter we're dealing with here. At his young age, his ability to get on base, his ability to hit for power, his ability to hit for average. This is Ted Williams, guys. Appreciate it. And the Mets finally were the team that not only decided they would appreciate it, but they would pay him gobs of money for a lot of years to play for their team. And good for the Mets for doing that. Makes them puts them in an even better position in the National League. Other than that, certainly the Dodgers have put themselves in a great position to repeat. They're spending a lot of money and deferring a lot of that money because, hey, we're all going to die one day, right? Why not defer some of those payments? And look, the whole thing about deferrals, it's not unfair to do that. Any team could do that. Most teams have done that. I think the Rockies were still paying Todd Helton until like 2 years ago. Deferrals are part of the game. It's not bad because the rich team is doing it. Your owner could do it too if he'd open up his pocketbook. And by your owner, I mean everybody listening to this with a favorite baseball team.
What about the pitching side of things? Max Fried, Corbin Burns going to Arizona. What about that?
Burns is interesting because he's a stud. He's a frontline guy. He takes the ball 30-plus times every year, gets you innings, can pitch in big games. His strikeout rate going in the wrong direction is a little bit of a concern for me. And I wonder if he's going to truly be one of the elite guys who be paid like one. But there's no doubt there's a lot of value in having a guy like that to front your rotation. And if he's only good for the next 2 years, fine. He'll opt out. And, knowing Diamondbacks owner Ken Kendrick could be begging him to opt out because the Diamondbacks love doing two things: paying players and then complaining about how much they're paying players. So I'm sure that's coming from Ken Kendrick, the owner there at the Diamondbacks at some point. Max Fried to the Yankees, again, a lot of money for a pitcher who took a step back in 2024, but the Yankees certainly needed another guy who could go toe-to-toe with the best in baseball. It's a good addition for them. Blake Snell going to the Dodgers is a rich getting richer sort of thing too. One of the most unpleasant great pitchers to watch because he's 3-ball count on everybody he faces, but no denying he's one of the best in the game when he's really rolling. And that is a huge addition to a Dodger pitching staff that seemed like it was on fumes toward the end of last year and got a second win in the World Series. So the lot of moves. I think of those three of those, the one I probably like best is Snell to the Dodgers. I just have some concerns about Fried's durability and a little bit of a concern, a minor concern, because I think he can be great without the strikeouts. But it is worth noting that Burns' strikeouts have really dipped the last couple of years.
Well, who's left in free agency, and what are your predictions? I know Santander's out there, of course. Sasaki coming over from Japan. Where do you think those two guys are going to go?
Sasaki, I think, is going west. Dodgers or Padres seem to make the most sense for him, and I think it's going to be one of those two teams that ends up with the Japanese phenom. As far as Santander is a really kind of an imperfect player because he's going to strike out a ton. He really doesn't have a position. Shouldn't be playing probably in the outfield for a team that's really serious. I would like to see the Orioles spend some of the money that they were going to spend on Corbin Burns that they didn't get to spend on him, and actually be serious. Like it drives me crazy. The Orioles have all this young talent. They're just not going to supplement it by going out and they had Corbin Burns for 1 year. Hey, great. Go get some real guys. Go spend some real money on some real guys because the Orioles have so much young talent that's playing for, minimum wage as far as baseball goes that they ought to be able to splash some cash and be a real force in the American League East. Like the no doubt favorite in the American League if they go out and spend some money. The Royals are a bat short right now. The Royals need to go out and add a bat. I don't think Santander makes a ton of sense for them either because their DH at bats are already spoken for. Jerks and Profar is still out there to be a nice addition. If the Royals don't have Profar money, Jesse Winker, I think, would be a great ad for them to play in a corner outfield, get on base, and add some left-handed punch to their lineup. Coming off, he was terrible 2 years ago, had a bit of a bounce back last year with the Mets. I think that makes a ton of sense. I think that's who the Royals should be targeting.
What about your beloved Rockies? Really, nothing has happened thus far. What is there anything they're going to do, or are they going to do what they typically do? Sit on their hands?
They're going to lose 100 games. What they're going to do? They're not going to go out. They've signed one major league player to a multi-year contract since the 2019-2020 offseason, and that was Chris Bryant. So maybe it's a good thing that they're not going to do that again because they bought a lemon, obviously, with Bryant. They're going to turn the lineup over to a bunch of young guys this next year, which is what they ought to do. More at bats for guys like Jordan Beck and Michael Toglia and guys like that. That's what they should do, and wait and see if any of this young pitching on the way up from the minor leagues. It's as good a crop as they've had, in a while. It's as good a crop as they've had since that group ended up forming the backbone of those pitching rotations that went to the playoffs in 2017 and 2018. They're going to wait on those guys, see them come up probably middle to the end of this season, and then maybe by 2026 they'll decide that they want to go out and spend a little money. But they're crying poor right now. They did lose their TV deal. They don't have any of that TV revenue coming in. A lot of teams are in that boat. Rockies happen to be one of them, and they're using it as an excuse to not go out and try to add talent. But at the same time, this is at least a something like a vision, and the farm system has gotten better to the point where if you squint, you can see some real good talent on the way up in the next couple of seasons.
Let you go on this one, Dan. The Chiefs and the Broncos play here on Sunday. Broncos need to get in to make it to the playoffs. Chiefs, of course, have that number 1 seed locked up. So your thoughts on Denver maybe making the postseason, and how far do you think the Chiefs can take it this year?
The Chiefs are winning the Super Bowl. I'll say it right now so that your listeners can hear it and either get excited or gird themselves for what is sure to come. But the Chiefs are winning the Super Bowl. They have the fewest flaws of any of the top-tier teams left in the NFL. They're playing at home in the AFC playoffs. Whoever they play in the divisional round is going to be pretty unserious. It's going to be either Houston or Pittsburgh, because I don't think Baltimore or Buffalo are going to lose. So basically be one game, like one real game in a month and a half for them at home to get to the Super Bowl. And then, again, this is a team that they have a plan. They execute a plan. They're well coached. They have the best player in the world in Patrick Mahomes. Really hard to beat them once. And especially when it gets into a big game, because they're just used to it. They know how to win. You get to a point where winning gets to be a habit. And that's where the Chiefs are. So I think they're going to win the Super Bowl. Do I think they're going to win on Sunday? They might. I think it's ludicrous that they're 10.5-point underdogs. Understand this. You don't get to be the organization that the Chiefs are and have the success that the Chiefs have had by just getting on a plane and not caring whether you win a game. I know it's Carson Wentz behind a patchwork offensive line throwing to like Nico Remigio and Peyton Hendershot for 60 minutes, but the Chiefs are there to win. Don't get that twisted. They're there to compete. They're there to win. All the pressure's on the Broncos. Could a young quarterback, a young team who's never been in a really big game fold in that situation? It's entirely possible. I would still pick Denver to win, but don't be surprised that they got to sweat it for 60 minutes to break that playoff drought and get back in for the first time since 2015. And congratulations, Broncos. You've done it. Your prize, an all-expense-paid trip to go lose by 40 in Buffalo.
Dan, thank you so much. We really appreciate the time. We'll let you go. Say hello to the family for us, all right?
Will do, Ross. You say hello to yours, and hello to everybody out there in Northwest Kansas. Happy New Year, guys.
Thank you. Once again, a Happy New Year to Dan Lucero, our good friend from WIBW Sports. All right, let's get to our final break. We'll come back, wrap things up with some more thoughts on the Chiefs and the Broncos and a little bit of college basketball next in the Blitz.
Another holiday season marks another year coming to a close. For all of the significant life events that happen throughout the year, keep Zimbelman's Jewelry in mind. Visit Zimbelman's Jewelry in Burlington to pick out the perfect gift for all of your special moments.
It's a new year, and Office Works and Home Furnishings in Colby is here to help give your home a fresh new feel. They have the biggest and best selection of Lazy Boy furniture, Serta, and Justice beds in the area, plus a whole lot more. Stop in and shop the showroom floor on South Range in Colby today.
New year? How about some new appliances at prices that leave room for those resolutions? H&J Repair in Colby has great deals to kick off the new year in style. Out with the old, in with the affordable. Only at H&J Repair. Happy New Year from H&J Repair in Colby.
If you're shopping for a banking institution, visit with Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, and Quinter, Kansas. The Equity Bank is heavily invested in local business and activities contributing in many ways back to their community. Their employees are involved with many organizations and area events. Plus, a lot of experience comes with that staff. You'll find valuable local assistance when you bank at the Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, Quinter, and other locations in Western Kansas. The Equity Bank, member FDIC.
The year-end clearance is on at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Save big on remaining hail vehicles like a 2024 GMC 2500 with some hail repaired. You can still take an additional $8,000 off. Or drive away in a 24 GMC Sierra 1500 and save up to $8,500 off, including rebates on lightly hailed units. Plus, enjoy 0% financing for up to 36 months on select new GMC and Chevrolet vehicles. These deals won't last long. Visit Hurl Chevrolet GMC today or shop online at hurlchev.com and wrap up the year with incredible savings.
Bringing you the best regional sports talk.
Well, I'm awake and I speak English, so yeah, I do know what you're saying.
From scores to stories, the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
Just a few minutes left to go here on the Morning Blitz on this Friday. Once again, glad you're with us here, and thanks again to Dan Lucero for joining the program as well, giving his thoughts and insights on everything sports. That guy is, like I said, he is a machine. The brightest sports mind I know. No offense, Max, but he's even smarter than me.
No offense taken. No offense taken. That's some Pitbull we've got playing.
Yeah, a little Pitbull.
I respect that.
Great Friday song, right?
Oh, my God. No better way to go into a weekend than some Pitbull.
Got any big plans this weekend at all?
No.
None.
No. Absolutely none.
Fortnite.
Football. Yeah, some Fortnite sounds fun, honestly.
Football, Fortnite, and food. That's what's ahead.
I mean, what else do you really need to do?
I don't know.
I don't got much weekend. I'm not going to drive 4 hours to especially in this weather. I'm not going to drive 4 hours to Lawrence, see any of my friends.
Maybe you go get a ticket, watch the Broncos game or something, because it's the closest.
I'm not driving. No, it's too cold. There's no point. There's no point. It's just there's really not a point. I'm still figuring it out how to live this Western Kansas life every weekend.
By the way, 10.5-point favorites. So that caught you as a surprise, Denver over Kansas City when you were talking to Dan. That shocked you a little bit there.
It did. I mean, yeah, it does. It does. And now I'm thinking about it's like 10.5, maybe 7.5. I don't know. It's the Chiefs. It's Andy Reid. He's still calling the plays. 10.5 might be insane. Might have to hit that bet up. But I love what Dan said, obviously. But he's completely right. Look, the Chiefs. Well, for people that they don't think the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl, which is, it's hard to win a Super Bowl. I don't blame you. But this is what I say. And it's similar to what Dan just said is division round. They're probably going to play Texans, Steelers, Chargers, maybe Broncos. All right. So who are you going to take in that matchup? You're probably going to take the Chiefs. And then you have this AFC Championship game at home. And that is, like Dan said, that's going to be the toughest game, really, realistically. If you don't, unless you have them getting upset in the division round, which has not happened in Mahomes' career. Mahomes' career the floor has been the AFC Championship. So you've got one game pretty much, unless they get upset, one game to fight for the Super Bowl. And it's at Arrowhead now. And I don't know if people have really realized how close this is to being the first three-peat in the NFL's history, at least in the Super Bowl era. So it's getting real, Ross, and I am so fired up. I've been watching highlights, and that's all I can think about is getting this playoff started.
Not only could Denver get into the postseason with the win, but if let's say they were able to, and I'm not saying, but let's say that spread holds true. Let's say they let's say they win by 2 touchdowns.
Okay.
I'm actually kind of curious to know if that maybe does, because if you lose by more than you kind of thought you would, I wonder how much of a wrench that might throw into the Chiefs. Like none. I think it, sometimes
against Carson Wentz and Justin Watson.
I know. But, sometimes I tell you what, I feel like the Chiefs for the first time this year finally hit their stride in the last game or so. Finally hit their stride. And now if you go and you possibly lose, I'm not saying they're going to, possibly lose to Denver. And I just wonder if you lose that momentum and that ends up hurting you some point in time in the playoffs. Not saying the first round, don't know about the second round, maybe it's Super Bowl. I don't know. I might be grasping at straws here, and that's fine. But I find that fascinating. I think if you are Kansas City, I think you want to keep this game, not just because of whatever. I think you want to keep this game close. You want to try and keep that momentum, even with your younger players.
Well, sure. But, it goes back to what I said earlier when we were talking about buys in college football and how it does not affect people or players as much in the NFL. And that's because they're well-oiled machines. And there's no team that's more of a well-oiled machine than the Chiefs with Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and Travis Kelce. I don't think any of this, I don't think the next 25 days will affect them if it's only going to benefit them health-wise. They know what they need to do. They know what it takes to win a division game against a team that's probably not as good as you. They know what it takes to then play in the AFC Championship game. They've been there before. So I necessarily look. I know they want to win. I know Andy Reid wants to win, and Andy Reid's going to prepare like they need to win because that's just how they operate. Exactly like what Dan said in the last segment. But I don't think that if they lose or they don't, they score 6 points, it's going to necessarily. I get what you're saying, but I don't think it's going to really affect The starters.
Yeah, let's get. We'll see. College basketball this weekend. You've got K-State coming off their first conference win and a big win over 16th ranked Cincinnati. They're on the road at TCU in Fort Worth. That is coming up on Saturday at 3 Central and 100.3 The Ride. You got Kansas in action Sunday down at UCF at 3 Central time.
That's a loss. That's 100% a loss. I would bet money that we lose that game.
Why so?
They lost last year. That's bounce out. It's a tough play. UCF is a tough place to play. And KU can't win on the road. I would be more shocked if KU wins that basketball game. I'm just going to be completely honest, and that might sound pessimistic.
Can't win at home either. They lost to West Virginia. You can say what you want, but
it might be pessimistic of me. But I don't think they win that. I don't think they win that basketball game. I just don't see it. I don't think it happens.
God, does UCF have the? I mean, I guess they are 10-2. So
look, my family came down to Florida last year to see them lose to UCF last year.
You were at that game, huh?
I wasn't there. I was actually calling a game for Rollins. My family came down to visit me, and they also went. My dad and my mom went to that game to watch them lose. They said that environment was great. It always is at UCF. Great school, but I'm just saying. I'm sorry. Hopefully I'm wrong. It's not like I'm going to be sitting there rooting for them to lose, but I just don't see. I don't think they're going to win. I don't have any faith in this team right now.
I mean, they did win at Texas Tech, and that's a very tough place to play. So I will give them credit there.
Yeah,
UCF. So, yeah. All right. So there you go. That's all coming up, and then you also have Nebraska hosting UCLA on Saturday. Big test for the Cornhuskers there. Colorado is at Arizona State. A Pac-12 Big 12 game coming up at 4:00 Mountain Time on Saturday. On to the walk-off.
And back lifts his ball deep to right. How about a walk-off Grady? Thomas to the 10. Denver's going on to New England. They win it on the first play of overtime. Mahomes flings it. It's there. Hardman. Jackpot. Kansas City.
Shout out to Max with our new walk-off stuff there. Thanks, Max. Appreciate it.
Working on the video aspect of it. We'll figure out a way to
I put the video and the music together. The problem is it would cut off our audio.
Right.
That was the problem.
Yeah, we'll
more work needs to be done.
I've got the video in here. We're just gonna figure out how to time it right.
Hey, congratulations, Jared. You found us on Twitter. Way to go, buddy. Appreciate you. Way to keep working. Keep working hard on that. By the way, in walk-off today, local sports return here today tonight and into tomorrow. You've got a little high school hoops. You got Hoxie going to Osborne. Decatur Community visits Logan Palco tonight. Then you've got Colby Community College basketball hosting Seward County on Saturday, and Fort Hays Tech Northwest at home hosting Dodge City on Saturday as well. So the return of local sports in the first action of 2025 gets going here tonight.
I'm ready for Tuesday. Let's get these Eagles basketball season and the Cowboys.
Who the Eagles got Tuesday?
Hoxie.
Oh,
yeah.
Good. That is a girls matchup that you want to go to.
Yeah.
Hoxie's one of the best programs in girls basketball and has been for a long time, taking on one of the better Colby Lady Eagle teams in recent memory. That's going to be a dandy of a game. You're going to want to go check that one out. That was good.
Had a great conversation with Coach Walker yesterday. That'll be on the pregame show. Talking about a little bit about Hoxie and how the girls have adjusted to the winter break, of course, and how they've gotten to be this kind of well-oiled machine that they are. So,
yep, that ought to be a real dandy of a basketball game. I look forward to that. We'll have a big men's game over here. Oh, the girls game will be big too, but the men's game will be featured 2 ranked teams between Goodland and Holcomb coming up here on Tuesday as we visit with Coach Dahl. Yes, and of course, if you missed any of that conversation or any of our talks, and you're like, I need to hear that again, and make sure, did they really say that stupid thing? Well, you can do it on the podcast. We have it on the podcast page. Thank you to all those listening in KC and around the globe, and also those here locally on Rocket 102.5. For Max, I'm Ross. Have yourself a great weekend. We'll see you back here Monday on the Blitz.